Hello, Haley. I got to tell you, this video is in response to your fine letter, which I'm holding in my grubby hands right here. And I just want to say I was just honored. And I want to start out by reading your fiction that you wrote. It was actually very good. And what we call this is fan fiction because it's based on the world of Dead Hunger. So here it is, and I am a narrator, so you'll get to hear me narrate this. Zombies block your way. Pink mist hangs in the air. In the front of the group is what once was a woman with red eyes, watching every... This is where I usually do this, and then I reread it. That's how I narrate. If I make a mistake, I clap and I reread it. So, watching your every move. You turn and start running, not bothering to check ahead. 3 bullets, that's all you have. As you run, an empty spray bottle clinks against your leg. If only you had a Ruscio. A snarl growl brings you out of your mind and back to the world. The undead block your path. You try to stop, but momentum takes you into the grasping hands of one. Claw-like nails dig into your back. Jaws close around your throat. Well, that person's dead, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, Haley, very good. That's some good writing. I'm going to go ahead with the assumption that you wrote that yourself, but I'm impressed. Let's just put it that way. Okay. This was, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate the fact that you love the Dead Hunger series. I'm really glad you're reading it, and thank you so much for giving me the feedback and telling me, how it inspires you to write. Because, look, everyone's inspired by some things when it comes to, what they, their desires, what they want to do. Some young people are impressed by sports stars and they decide they want to do that sport and stuff like that. So I totally understand how books and reading can get you excited about it. The written word is fun because, as you know, unlike a movie, you are the producer. When you read those words, your mind comes up with the images. And sometimes the words don't have to really have that much in them. They just need to have a basic description. Your mind will do the rest, and your brain will come up with that stuff. So it's very cool. Anyway, you have some questions for me, so I do want to answer them for you without this video being half an hour long, because I can tend to be wordy. So your first question is, how did I come up with the red-eyed monsters and the eye vapor? All right. We'll start with the eye vapor, which came first, because I think that actually appears in book 1. I wanted something different. I figured because of the origin, and I won't spill the beans on the origin of the conversion of humanity into zombies. It is a 90% conversion, so 10% are not affected. 1 out of every 10 is unaffected. But I figured in the process of decomposition as you die, and the introduction of this gas that converted everybody, I figured there would be some biological reactions among the chemicals within your body, acids, etc., and this stuff. And also, in nature, when things go wrong, they also sometimes go partially right. In other words, every creature has its offenses and its defenses. So porcupines have their quills, right, to defend with. I mean, that keeps people from attacking them. They can throw the quills. Other than that, they're not really very scary, are they? So they have that. You think of a skunk; it's got its scent sac, and it can squirt that at you. So nature designs in offenses, which essentially are defenses to a degree. So I just came up with it. I don't know. I got to say out of the blue because it really didn't have a basis. I never read it or saw it anywhere else, which is what I wanted. I wanted my zombies to be unique. I wanted them to have their own strange abilities, different than anything else out there. Anyway, so that was your first question. Red-eyed mothers. Okay, this is again more logic on my part. I figure there will be pregnant women that change as well. What happens to the baby? If the mom becomes a zombie, she no longer has the ability to sustain life within her, right? If she becomes a zombie, chances are her child is going to become a zombie, right? So the child is now in there, trapped in there. It's not trying to eat its way out. Why? Because it's surrounded by dead flesh, not something it wants. It wants live flesh. So it will stay in there forever. The mothers, though, when a woman is pregnant, and this took me, I had to really look this stuff up, so I had to do a lot of research. When a woman is pregnant, her estrogen levels just jam skyward during her pregnancy. So I thought, all right, what does estrogen do? So I need to look it up. The estrogen actually is it helps their neurotransmitters in the brain function at a higher level, so that if she won't lose her keys, she won't forget where she put her purse, she won't forget where she put the kids, so the estrogen helps them maintain some ability to think straight, and that's part of its purpose anyway. That's not all of it, I'm sure, but so that's part of it. So I thought, okay, if this estrogen essentially enhances brain function while they're pregnant, then what happens if they convert to a zombie while they're pregnant? And I immediately thought, they're different, they're smarter. In fact, they're quite enhanced with all sorts of different abilities. So I went with that. So that was, again, how did I come up with it? Just basically a little scientific research. It's kind of what writers do. You just kind of dig around and find out what you can find. And if something sounds like it's going to work, you can use it. But if it, it could be a dead end, and there's no reason to use it. But that wasn't for me. I thought that was good. Anyway, it helped make my zombies far different than anything else anybody will ever read. Next question, how do I keep my characters so diverse? Well, look, I think that comes partially from age. Let's face it, your friends, right? That guy's really cool, and he's just kind of, he's got swagger and stuff, right? And that guy's kind of a geek, he's kind of nerdy and nervous and not sure of himself. So there's two different personalities right there. Both of them can be quite likable, but they're just different, right? The one is kind of intriguing because he's got a little swagger going on. The other one, he's kind of cute because he needs help, right? Maybe to bring him out of his shell. So there are different people, and I think you kind of recognize that as you get older and you start to figure out that among any group there's going to be different people. So anyway, diversity just comes, I think, from writing experience. I once said that I could make you love my character with one sentence. All it has to be is something like, for instance, in the beginning of Dead Hunger, where Flex is talking to his sister, right? Or, but he loves his sister, and he'll do anything for her, and he wants to come and see her. So he's a family guy, so you automatically like Flex. And then there's one scene where Trina's in the car, and he's closing her in there, and he's locking her in the car, and he's saying, I want you to stay here now, okay? Don't you come out for anybody. You get under that blanket and you close the door. You got it, right? So he's talking to her, and he loves her. He doesn't want anything to happen to her, but he's got to go back in that house, and he's got to try to find out if he can find her sister and his sister. So, again, make them do something that shows they're a caring person or a loving person, and make people like them. That's all you have to do. It's pretty easy. I didn't find it so easy in the beginning. I think my initial characters in my first book were kind of flat. But I learned. I don't know how. I just did. I just got older, so it was weird. Okay. How do you reboot your idea generator? That's hard. Because my ideas come often from just walking around. One of my ideas for Generation Evil was the name of the book. It was actually initially called A Faceless Evil. It was called Negative Lives, and then it was called Generation Evil, and now it's called The Witches of Laguna Beach. And that book actually came to me. Have you ever seen those old-timey pictures of the children of the family? There's like 4 ovals, right? And it's all in one frame. 4 ovals for 4 kids, right? And all the baby pictures are in the oval, right? And these would be mounted. And I was in a house one time, I think it was at a wedding, and I was walking down the hall looking for the restroom or something, and I saw this picture on the wall. And I thought, that, for a minute, it looked like us. It looked like me and my brothers and sister. And I'm looking at this picture going, what if it was us? What if it was clearly very old and could not be us, but the faces were all identical? So it was us, but it was a different us. So that's how I came up with the idea for Generation Evil, or Witches of Laguna Beach, which it eventually ended up being called. I don't think there's any scene in there like that, but that's what gave me the idea. And the story may not reflect that in any way, but it's just a grain of sand is what I call it. Just that little piece that you can build on. So that's basically idea generator. If you're in the middle of a story and you get lost and you don't know where to go, what you do is you go where you would go in real life, if that situation was really happening, as impossible as it is, if that was really happening to you, what would you do? How would you react? That's where I go. And once you know that, that's all it takes, because that's what your readers would do, right? They would do the same thing if they've got logic. They would react in the same way and do the same thing, and readers love it when they go, that's exactly what I would have done. So that's a great trick. So hey, you can read a book on amazing but true stories and come up with a little piece of weird stuff that you can use. Okay, that's another idea. All right, idea generator. That's a good name for that. Okay, out of all the characters I created, which ones are my favorites? Well, I gotta kind of go with Flex and Jem, because they're just such a tight couple. They love each other so much, and they'll never give up on each other. And the other one is Nelson Moore. Nelson Moore is based on a childhood friend of mine, and he is kind of a hippie, which is what he was back in the 70s when I grew up with him. And he was just a sweet guy, and he did have a big heart, and he'd never hurt a fly. And so I wanted to create a character out of him, because I thought, there's always that guy, right? That everybody loves him. They question him a lot. They don't really know that he's able to contribute very much, but that's why I gave Nelson so many cool traits, like his subdudo that he created, which is a form of judo that is designed just for subduing people rather than hurting them, because he's a pacifist. He doesn't like to hurt anybody. He's the kind of guy that after the apocalypse has already ruined the world, he's still riding a scooter because he doesn't want to pollute. Okay, don't worry that there's no longer millions of cars on the highway. He doesn't want to add one bit of carbon monoxide to the air. So that's Nelson. He's one of my favorites as well. I also love Hemp, because Hemp's smart. He's a scientist, and he happens upon some great discoveries, and really is responsible for keeping the group alive. Charlie, I mean, she's great too. Some of the others I may not be as invested in. You can probably tell because they don't get a whole lot of time. But Dave Gammon, he's also a friend of mine. He actually is a writer for horrornews.net. So if you look for Dave Gammon, you'll find him there at horrornews.net as a book reviewer, and that's how I met him. He was reviewing. I found him and I asked him if he'd review Dead Hunger, and he agreed to. Well, I've now met him a few times. He lives up in Canada, but I was able to visit him in Niagara Falls, Canada, and so it's kind of cool. This whole process has really just opened up the world to me, if you want to know the truth, and it's introduced me to a lot of people in the world as well. So those are my favorites. I guess Flex, Jem, and Nelson, they're some of my favorites. I do like Luke in Shifting Fears, and I do like Warren and Scott Walsh, and Missy. I love Missy Walsh as well in Scabs, the Gemini Exception, and the whole series is going to go on from there. But so those are my favorites. Now let's see. If I could go to one planet, where would I go? I would set my detector to find life, and then I would go wherever that is. I don't know that maybe we haven't discovered the planet yet. I'm just saying. So I would want to go somewhere where there's life, other life, because how long are you going to experience that, right? If the thing kills me, so what? What an adventure, right? I'm dead, but at least got to meet life other than human, and I don't have to just write about it. I can go do it. So that's my answer to that one. Superpowers, choose 3. Okay, this one is really hard, because, who can choose 3, right? I want them all. If I'm going to do it, just load me up. I'll take them all. I would like a true power of persuasion. I would like the ability, kind of like Lucifer, if you watch that show, like Lucifer, he's the devil, but I don't want to be the devil, but to sit and convince somebody of what you'd like them to do. Absolutely. You sit down, say a few suggestive words, and they're on board. That's what I like. I like the power of persuasion. But or I'd like the power of the push, like Dead Zone, like where the guy could hand you a $1 bill and say, "I only have 100. Can you break it?" And that person now sees 100. Right now, I don't know what I use that for. I have no idea. Maybe I'd take a manuscript and hand it to somebody and go, "This is the best book you've ever read." So you're going to publish this, Big Six or whatever, Big Six publishers. Okay, so that would be kind of cool. I'd also like invisibility. I'd love to be invisible. I mean, I'd like to be able, like if I put on clothing and then I'm invisible, then even the clothing is invisible. So it's all invisible until I, decide to come back, boom, and then everything's visible again. But that would be cool. With that invisibility, I would also like to be able to pass through doors and stuff. I don't want to be solid like that. I still want to be able to pick things up, so I kind of want it all. So it's not going to really work. But look, I'm picking that superpowers. I want to get very detailed. That's what I want. The other one is immortality. But, okay, it gave me an idea for a book, actually. But I like the power of immortality. But I'd like to be able to switch it on only once, right? So let's say I'm born with it, right? And let's say at age 19 I decide I kind of like this age. So I flip the aging switch off. And I can stay 19 and look and physically be 19 for as Okay, I ran out of space in the video. My God, I'm having nothing but trouble here. Because I'm talking too much. This is really long. I know it's way longer than you wanted, so I'm sorry. So you can't show it to your class because you're going to go, Hailey, you can't take up the whole freaking class with this guy. Okay, even though I haven't cursed at all. I've been very clean here. Okay, so anyway, this word immortality. I had the ability to stay at whatever age I wanted for as long as I wanted. And then once I decide to, I can flip that switch and now I can age. Maybe I want to get to 23. Maybe I decide, oh, like 23. 23 is a good age. Flip that switch off again. Stay 23 for a while, right? So it kind of depends. It sure give you a heck of a lot more years in your life. But anyway, that could be kind of fun, an immortality switch. Okay, so that's that. And let's see. What would my name be? My name would be the most interesting man in the world. That's what my name would be. So Hailey, look, thank you so much, and you've just honored me by telling me how much you've enjoyed my books and my writing. And the biggest joy for me is the fact that I've inspired you to write, and your mother has inspired you to write. And she's a great writer too. So, yeah, she's a great writer like me. I'm just kidding. I can hold my own. She can hold her own. Okay? When we're great, I think we'll let you know. Alright, but anyway, good luck to you. Good luck to your whole class, guys. You can be what you want to be. You can be what you want to be. So just be it, okay? Whatever you want to do, you can do it. Believe me, nobody, when I was growing up, ever thought I would have 16 books out. Not a soul. Trust me. I think they thought I'd be dead by now, as did I. But you know what? Life's easier and harder than you think. So just set your mind to it and you can do it. And if you can't, do something else. But something will click. Alright, thanks. Hailey, go get him. And thanks for the letter. And I was happy to do this for you. Bye.